The Fouke Monster, sometimes referred to as the Boggy Creek Monster, is an alleged ape-like creature said to inhabit the swamps and forests around Fouke, Arkansas, a small town in Miller County. This creature is often described as being large, bipedal, and covered in long dark hair, drawing comparisons to the legendary Bigfoot of the Pacific Northwest. Witnesses claim the creature stands about 7 feet tall and weighs around 300 pounds. It is also said to emit a foul odor, which adds to its eerie and elusive nature. The legend of the Fouke Monster gained significant attention in the early 1970s, but reports of a strange creature in the region date back much earlier. Local folklore suggests that the creature has been part of the area's history for generations, with stories passed down through families and communities. These tales often include descriptions of a large, hairy creature seen lurking in the dense woods and swamps. One of the earliest documented sightings dates back to the 1940s, when local residents began reporting strange noises, unidentified footprints, and eerie encounters. However, it was not until the 1970s that the legend of the Fouke Monster entered the national spotlight, largely due to a series of high-profile sightings and media coverage. The most famous encounter with the Fouke Monster occurred in May 1971. Bobby and Elizabeth Ford, who had recently moved into a new house, reported a terrifying encounter with the creature. According to their account, the creature attacked their home late one night, reaching through a window in an attempt to grab Elizabeth. Bobby Ford fired his gun at the creature, but it fled into the surrounding woods. The Fords reported the incident to the local sheriff, and the story quickly gained traction in the media. Investigators found large three-toed footprints near the house, as well as scratch marks on the siding and the damage to the window screen. The Fords were adamant that they had encountered a large hairy creature, and that their story was supported by other local residents who reported similar sightings around the same time. This incident brought national attention to the Fouke Monster, with news outlets across the country covering the story. The media frenzy that followed helped cement the creature's place in American folklore and inspired further investigation and speculation. The 1971 Ford incident and the ensuing media coverage caught the attention of Charles B. Pierce, an independent filmmaker. Pierce decided to create a movie based on the legend, blending documentary-style storytelling with dramatized reenactments of reported encounters. The result was The Legend of Boggy Creek, released in 1972. The film was a low-budget production, but it became a surprise hit, grossing around $20 million at the box office. The Legend of Boggy Creek depicted various sightings and encounters with the Fouke Monster, combining them with the atmospheric scenes of Arkansas swamps and forests. The film's success helped to further popularize the legend and introduce the Fouke Monster to a wider audience. The Legend of Boggy Creek became a cult classic and spawned several sequels, cementing the Fouke Monster's place in American pop culture. The film's success also inspired other filmmakers and cryptozoologists to explore and document similar legends and sightings across the country. Following the Ford incident and the release of The Legend of Boggy Creek, reports of the Fouke Monster sightings continued to emerge. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, numerous individuals claimed to have seen the creature or found evidence of its presence. These reports included sightings of large hairy creature, mysterious footprints, and strange sounds coming from the swamps and forests. In many cases, witnesses described the creature as being very elusive and often disappearing into the dense vegetation before it could be clearly seen or photographed. The elusiveness, combined with this creature's remote habitat, made it difficult for investigators to obtain concrete evidence. Despite the lack of definitive proof, the legend of the Fouke Monster continued to capture the imaginations of locals and visitors. Cryptozoologists and amateur monster hunters visited the area in hopes of catching a glimpse of the creature or finding evidence to support its existence. One notable investigator, Jim Powell, dedicated significant time to researching and documenting Fouke Monster sightings. Powell collected numerous eyewitness accounts and physical evidence, including footprints and hair samples. Although his findings were inconclusive, his work helped to keep the legend alive and contributed to the ongoing interest in the creature. The Fouke Monster legend is rich with eyewitness accounts, each adding a layer of detail and intrigue to the story. Here are some notable sightings. Shortly after the Ford incident, local resident Willie Smith reported seeing a large hairy creature crossing a field near his home. Smith described the creature as being about 7 feet tall and covered in dark hair. He noted that the creature moved quickly and disappeared into the woods before he could get a closer look. In 1978, the Crabtree family, who lived in a rural area near Fouke, reported several encounters with the creature. According to their accounts, they often heard strange noises coming from the woods at night and occasionally saw a large hairy figure moving through the trees. The Crabtree's family's experiences were featured in the legend of Boggy Creek, adding credibility to their claims. In 1981, a hunter named David Jenkins claimed to have seen the Fouke Monster while hunting in the woods near Boggy Creek. Jenkins described the creature as being about 6 to 7 feet tall, with long shaggy hair and a powerful build. He reported that the creature watched him from a distance before silently retreating into the forest. In the early 2000s, there were renewed reports of Fouke Monster sightings. One notable account came from a group of college students who were camping near Boggy Creek. They reported seeing a large hairy creature watching them from the edge of the campsite. The students described the creature as having glowing red eyes and a strong musty odor. Their encounter sparked a new wave of interest in the legend. While eyewitness accounts are compelling, physical evidence of the Fouke Monster have been elusive. However, there have been several instances where footprints, hair samples, and other potential evidence have been found. One of the most common pieces of evidence associated with the Fouke Monster is a large three-toed footprint. These footprints have been found in various locations around Fouke and Boggy Creek. Some of the footprints measured up to 17 inches in length and 7 inches in width. Casts of these footprints have been made and studied, but skeptics argue that they could be hoaxes or misidentified animal tracks. On a few occasions, researchers have collected hair samples believed to belong to the Fouke Monster. These samples have been analyzed, but the results have been inconclusive. In some cases, the hair was found to be from known animals such as bears or deer, while other samples could not be definitively identified. Some investigators have captured audio recordings of strange sounds near swamps and forests near Fouke. These recordings often feature howls, growls, and other unexplained noises that do not match the vocalizations of known animals in the area. While these recordings are intriguing, they do not provide concrete evidence of the creature's existence. Despite the numerous sightings and reports, the legend of the Fouke Monster has faced significant skepticism and criticism. Skeptics argue that the sightings could be explained by misidentifications of known animals, hoaxes or exaggerations fueled by local folklore, and the popularity of the legend of Boggy Creek. Critics also point out the lack of physical, definitive proof, such as clear photographs, DNA samples, or a body. Without such evidence, it is difficult to scientifically prove the existence of the Fouke Monster. Some researchers have suggested that the creature could be a case of mistaken identity, with sightings actually being of black bears or other large animals. Black bears in particular can stand on their hind legs and move in ways that might be mistaken for a bipedal creature, especially in low light or from a distance. In addition to its cultural impact, the Fouke Monster has become a subject of interest for researchers and enthusiasts of cryptozoology. The legend continues to inspire investigations, discussions, and debates within the cryptozoological community. So to conclude, Whether the Fouke Monster is a real creature or a case of mistaken identity or a product of local folklore, it continues to intrigue and inspire those who seek to uncover the mysteries of the natural world. The legend lives on, inviting curiosity and wonder about what might be lurking in the swamps and forests of Fouke, Arkansas. So this is all I have for you today, and I wanted to apologize if I didn't pronounce Fouke properly. I don't know if it's Fouke or Fouke. I watched some videos and documentaries and someone even pronounced it as Fouke. That really didn't sound right to me. Anyway, I hope you liked this story, and if you did make it so far, please like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories. Thanks for listening again. Until the next one.